Hi, and welcome back to the FreeFormKnits YouTube channel. I'm Haxann, and Knit and Crochet FreeFormKnits Crafting, blood to blood design. All the places you can find me will be listed right down below this video. This is my channel where I talk about knitting, crochet, all the fun crafty stuff, so if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future videos. It's been quite a while since I have podcasted. I'm coming to you from my home in Pennsylvania where I live with my family. We're a lot of people in a not too large space, so if you hear background noises, dogs barking, anything like that, I apologize. I do my best to edit all that out, but sometimes life is just very noisy. So it's actually the 3rd of February and it's a new month, which is kind of crazy. January always seems to go by so slow, and yet at the same time you don't remember it. Like, does that make sense? I don't know, but I've been busy with school, but I do have quite a bit of finished objects to share with you. I've actually tried filming this a couple of times, so I've kind of done away with a bit of a nicer setup, so we're just kind of sitting at my desk. There are things everywhere, but I'm just going with it because I do want to share with you some of my finished projects here. So because it is a new month, I actually, if you've been following my channel, then you know that I've been, I'm attempting this year to vlog my projects. It's something I've tried a couple times in the past but never really stuck with, but I'm just really curious to see like my making habits, I guess, because sometimes I go through periods where I don't feel very motivated to make anything, and then or sometimes I'll make a lot of things but then I'll wonder what happened to them. So I'm just kind of curious about my own personal habits of trying to track them, and because we're in a new month, that means I've finished the month of January, and I thought it'd be interesting to share with you, I guess, my knitting stats. Something I was very interested in. So I have like a whole video here on my channel about how I set this journal up. You can watch that if you're interested in doing something similar, but I kept it very simple. I just did new cast-ons, one to cast on, and finished objects. And I just plotted out for the month of January. And I've actually changed this setup for February. I'm not going to do a section of one to cast on because one to cast on usually ends up in new cast-ons anyway. So I've changed that, but I was very interested to see that my totals, I casted on 10 new things and I finished 9 projects. So they weren't the same, like I didn't finish 9 out of 10 of the projects I started. I just finished 9 things. Some of those were from last year, some of them were new cast-ons. But I thought that was very interesting because sometimes I will feel like I'm casting on so many things and not finishing anything, but the fact that I casted on 10 things but still finished 9 things was really interesting to me. And I was quite proud of that. Like, that's probably not going to be the case for every month, but it just felt very even in my head, and was kind of a relief because there was a point this month with my projects where I was like, I haven't made progress on anything. So to look at this and see, oh no, I have, is quite refreshing. So I casted on 10 projects, I finished 9, I finished 5 pairs of socks, 2 hats, 1 sweater, 1 shawl, and I frogged 2 projects. And so I counted the projects I frogged in new cast-ons. Like I casted on things, but I frogged too, because sometimes I will also go through periods of where I will cast things on and then rip them out immediately. So this month of January was really just me attempting to kind of see where I am. Like, I didn't put any goals on myself. I just wanted to really like study myself, I guess, and to explain it. How I set up for the month of February is I have current whips, finished whips, and new whips, and then I put the finished column in the middle so that I could just like draw this arrow like I finished one project that I had from last month. So I put that here and then just drew the arrow that it's finished. I thought this would be like kind of a little bit easier to look at and keep better track, and I did away with the one to cast on column and I just put, like, I have ideas down here. If there's a project I have in my head but don't have the right yarn for, I can put that down without it cluttering up here. And then I did have a goal this month. I wanted to finish a shawl, which I did. That's already done. And another goal I have is another project, which we'll talk about in this episode, that I'm unsure of the fate of. So that's just like an update on my making journal. It's really not to like put any goals on myself. Like, I'm not using this to like reach a certain goal. I guess if like there was a project I really wanted to finish, or like a challenge I wanted to set myself, I could, but it was really just to kind of see where I am in my making journey, I guess. So I just wanted to share that. If you are doing anything similar, or if you have any questions about this, anything like that, I would love to hear about it in the comments below. But let's move on into finished objects. So we'll start with the shawl. I actually finished this last night, and I guess a good part of me not being able to film this earlier was that you would not have seen this finished had I been able to pull off filming this earlier. So here is my fingering weight shawl. I love it. So I knit this out of, the gray is Yarn Bee Soft and Sleek DK, which is more of a fingering, and then all of these minis, most of them are Knit Picks Stroll, either tonal or hand painted, and then the few of them are Yarn Bee minis. And these blocks of color were all 10-gram minis that I had. They were scraps. And this gray, I had just a bunch of it, but it didn't have, the gray is a blend of, no, it's not a blend, it's just like 100% acrylic yarn, fingering weight yarn, and it wasn't good for socks, so it just was sitting in my stash and didn't know what to do with it. So I put it in the shawl and just did a garter stitch shawl with this I-cord edging along this side, and then I did do an I-cord bind off. So I started with my stripes. Every gray stripe has 10 garter ridges, which is 20 rows, until I think here, where I did 8 and then 6 because I was running out and I wanted to make sure I had enough of the gray to do the I-cord bind off. And then all of the, so we start here, I think I did 20, 15, 10, 10, I think I still pulled off 10, then 9, 8, 9, 6, 5, 4. That's how it went. Garter ridges. Just so that I wanted to keep it even. I don't consider myself, like, I don't get too hung up that it's like not all multiples of 5 or not all the same like 10 ridges, because it's an asymmetrical shawl, so your stitch count increases. So that wasn't possible with the 10-gram mini. But I did find myself getting like, oh, I did 7 garter ridges over here, then can I get 6 over here? But if I can't get 6 over here, then maybe I can get 5. My minis, they were approximately 10 grams, so the order I put them in, like maybe I had like a little bit more in the next color, so I could have gotten, like if I did 6 garter ridges once, and then I did 4, maybe I could have gotten 5 in the next stripe, but I didn't want to do that. So I found myself kind of getting a little bit anxious at the end because it doesn't matter once it's finished, but in the moment it seems like a big deal. So, and then I actually did for this, so I wouldn't have a bunch of ends to weave in, because I find myself not wanting to do stripes specifically for that reason, which of all the reasons to not do stripes is a pretty silly one, to be worried about the ends you have to weave in. So I found I would knit my ends and weave in, I would knit like my tail and new color together, and then I would weave in the old end. And I actually filmed a tutorial for how to do this. I plan to, this is a very basic shawl recipe, so I'm going to write it up and put it up for free. And I will share that tutorial if you also have like just a bunch of scraps you want to put into a shawl. And you can do anything for the striping. You can make it cohesive like this. You could just knit with a color, and when you run out, knot it together, knit with the next color. Like, it's so simple and such a great palette cleanser. It's such a great way to use up scraps and make something super pretty. So, and this is my first fingering weight shawl. I've never made a fingering weight shawl. I've talked about this before, how my situation with getting fingering weight yarn is a little bit different, a little bit hard in the past, so I always wait and use it for socks. But I have enough scraps now that I feel good putting it into a project that is not socks. And so this is my first fingering weight shawl, and I love it. I love the weight of it. It's like so light but also warm. Yeah, it's super pretty. I'm awkwardly sat on my chair, so I can't really stand up, but so that is my first finished object, and this the first finished object of February. And now all of these I'm going to show you are finished in January. So put that there. Okay, so I kind of have it all just sitting in this basket. I'm just going to try and pull it out evenly. So this is finished, but I haven't finished it, if that makes sense. This is a pair of socks, and I have to bind off the last one, the second one, and weave in the ends, and then this pair of socks is done. But I have one that is completely finished, ends woven in and all. This is just my shortcut dummy toe up shortcut heel sock recipe. It's a vanilla sock recipe. Got my shortcut heel. I did it toe up. And this yarn is Knit Picks Fleechy in the Arcade Afternoon. I did just a rolled hem for this one. I've been kind of playing with rolled hems. I did want to do a full cuff, but the thing is, this contrast I was using is very similar to this color. So in the repeat, I could have done one more stripe of this and then done the cuff, but I didn't like the idea of how that would look, like the blue yarn next to the blue yarn and the ribbing next to the blue yarn and stockinette. Like they're very similar, but next to each other they would look like a mistake. So I just decided to do this rolled hem. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I think, oh my goodness, I knew it. I knew there was more to it. I'm so ridiculous. So I did the rolled hem, but I did it in this color on the first sock. I switched colors for the second sock. I'm only noticing that now. That's ridiculous. It doesn't matter. No, the recipient is not going to know. These are going to be for my little sister. She's been loving her hand-knit socks recently, so I've been making her some more. Yeah, doesn't matter. I knew when I was doing this that it felt wrong. Like, I've gotten very good with the self-striping yarn. I just have one color of Felici, one ball. It comes in 50 grams, and I've been pairing it with the minis to get full pairs of socks. And I've become very good at like getting them matching perfectly and knowing in the stripe sequence when to switch my yarn. And when I was switching onto this, it didn't feel like it was in the right spot as when I did this one, and that is why, because I did not switch colors for the cuff. That's ridiculous. Oh well, doesn't matter now. I just have to do a seam bind off and weave in my ends, and then she can wear these. So I don't know why I haven't done that. I should probably leave it out so that that gets done. Otherwise, it'll just sit for a very long time, which is very unlike me. I don't like leaving things like literally less than 20 minutes away from being done. It's ridiculous. Anyway, next finished object. Actually, we'll do this one. This is just basically the same project, just in a different color. These are, again, Knit Picks Felici in the Poseidon colorway. And these are for me, these socks, because they are the most beautiful shades of blue. And again, my shortcut heel toe up sock recipe. On this one I did do the ribbing. Super pretty. I knit all my socks on a US 2.75, no, US 2.5, 2.75 millimeter needle, the Chargu Red Lace needles, and I knit magic loop on a 40-inch cord. And again, my shortcut heel, heel construction with no short rows, and I've been doing it in stockinette a lot lately to go with the self-striping, but I can also do it in garter. Very fun pairs of socks. Been knitting a lot of socks. They're just great to, a lot of vanilla socks, because partly to use up the self-striping I have. I still have quite a bit of self-striping in my stash, and also they've just been really simple to work on, like while I'm doing like if I'm watching videos for school or anything. So that's all. It's been very fun in the sock world. But I do have one more finished pair of socks, and this is the last pair of socks, I think. Actually, I don't even have one cast on, so this is the last pair of socks for this episode. These are the first socks in my lace stitch sock collection, a collection I'm working on featuring fun lace motifs. These were a work in progress last time. I made them a little bit smaller because I plan, after getting pictures for the collection, to give this particular pair to my sister, my other sister. So they're a little bit small for the blocker, which is bothering me because the heel is not sitting right. But here they are. This super fun lace motif. It is so simple. It's such a great repeat. And it's got 1x1 rib. These are actually done cuff down, again with my shortcut heel. And I did my hat trick toe, which is a nice rounded toe. I love the lace repeat for this. It is so simple, so much fun to do. It's very easily memorized once you do it a few times. Also, like, there's a lot of purl stitches in here, so that it makes it kind of snug like a ribbed sock, but I personally don't like knitting ribbed socks, so when you just have some natural purl stitches in a stitch pattern that make it snug, it's really nice. So this just needs to be, I need to finish writing up the pattern, and then I will need testers. I don't know when that's going to be, just because I am currently in school right now. I'm taking college courses, a full college semester of courses, and so that kind of makes it hard to have the brain space at the end of the day to type up and get ready for a test. But I do really want to work more on this collection, and ideally I would have it out in the spring, like when I released my garbage stitch sock collection and my cable stitch sock collection, but we'll just have to see. So, but it is super pretty. This is Knit Pig Stroll, I believe in the Duchess Heather colorway. Maybe just Duchess, I don't remember. That's bothering me that I don't remember, because I did know it at one point. That is another finished object. So we are almost at the end of this basket. We have one left, which I'm actually very excited about. So I've been wanting to make hats, and I actually have a hat cast on at the moment, a knitted hat, but I wanted to crochet a hat. And I had an idea for using granny stitch and granny square to make a hat. So I've really been loving in hats experimenting with square decreases, like the square shaping at the top for the crown. So I thought, why not do that for a hat? And I did. Here is the hat. So already there are some things I want to change about it. This yarn I used is Yarn Bee I want to say, it's not soft and sleek, or maybe it's low pill fiber, I don't know, but it's a bit on the heavier side of a worsted, I find, and I went up a hook size for it, and so I don't like the fabric I'm getting. So because I usually with worsted yarn in crochet I use a 5mm, but I went up to I think a 6 because of the thickness of this yarn and my gauge. So I want to do another sample in just like a regular worsted that I have, and I'd go down. I didn't bother switching for the ribbing, and I want to do that too. So it's just a really nice simple hat, and I think it's a fun idea to, I love the idea of using, I'm trying to put it on, but I have a bun in my hair, so it's probably not going to work that well. I love the idea of doing more with granny squares and granny stitches. I actually have a pattern, the Granny Wrap. It's a free pattern. I actually have a tutorial here on YouTube for it, and you can find it on my blog. It just takes the granny square and uses it as a basis for a different project. It's a granny wrap, so it's like a stole, I believe the word is, and it's just really fun because I love the symmetricalness of the granny square, and using that as a basis for other designs like a stole or a hat. So that was the idea for this. I want to make the like I said, another sample, and it's just really fun and super quick, but I need to go down for the ribbing and just go down all in all for the hat, because I don't like how they're just things I want to change, but the idea itself worked, and I really love that. So that is the last finished object I have. That's pretty good. That's 2, 4, 5 finished objects. That's pretty good. I should probably mention before I forget again what I'm wearing. I am wearing a sweater I freeformed last year, maybe further than that, I don't remember. I think sometime in the summer I knit this. It's just a circular yoke pullover. It's got some lace on the bottom, but I'm awkwardly situated, so I'm not going to stand up. It's a DK sweater. I used the Barbara Walker's, or no, not Barbara Walker, Ann Bud's top-down sweater construction, one of her circular yoke recipes, and then modified it. I did do decreases for the sleeve. I keep forgetting because they're very loose, so I just assume I knit straight, but I did do decreases for the sleeve. But that is what I'm wearing. So some cozy knitwear. This sweater is a blend of 50% merino wool, 25% acrylic, 25% nylon. I've really been loving this year. One of my knitting aspirations this year, rather than a goal, is to work with more wool-based fibers, because I've been finding that I've been leaning toward those more. I have very sensitive skin, and usually that's been leaning in the way of staying away from natural fibers because my skin was so sensitive. But now I find that the acrylics I've been working with are pushing me back towards that direction, so it's very not fun having such sensitive skin. But one of my goals, one of my aspirations again this year, is to make more sweaters with some wool content, because they're warmer, they're more comfortable, they're softer. So I actually did a really kind of a big purge of my handmade sweaters, because I've really only been wearing this winter season the ones made out of this type of yarn. This is the Must Be Merino, Yarn Bee Must Be Merino, and this is the DK one, and I've just been living in those sweaters and finding myself not drawn towards my other older sweaters, which are made out of more of acrylic-y based yarns. So little bit of a tangent, but I really do love this sweater. It's very soft and it was fun to knit. And I actually have another sweater quantity of this yarn in a different color that I don't love the color. That's the big thing. The color is teal, which I love blues, but the teal is kind of on the green side, and I found that I really don't like green. I don't know what it is. Every time I work with a green yarn, I find myself like really not being motivated to work with it. It's really strange, but I do want to use up that yarn because the yarn is so pretty, and I do have an idea for a sweater, but here's like, again, here's a tangent. I get ideas for a project in my head, but I will have a vision of a certain color or a certain weight, and I'll look at my stash, which I don't have a too large of a stash, but I have, it's stuff, it's yarn I want to work with. But I'm like, you're almost so perfect for this project. If only I had this much of you, if only you were this color. And it's just very frustrating. But at the same time, that how can I make this work is part of the fun of crafting and being creative. So like, I have this idea for this sweater and I have this yarn, but the question of the color is not exactly what I want. I don't know if I have enough. I think I only have 4 skeins of this yarn, which typically for me, I feel safe having 5 skeins of a sweater quantity for my size. So and I don't want to start a project and then need to buy yarn to finish that project and have a lot left. Like, I'll need a little bit extra. So that bothers me, because if I'm going to buy yarn for this project, I might as well buy yarn in the color I wanted in the first place. It's ridiculous. I find myself not doing what I want to do because of these reasons I built up in my head, but really you don't know what you don't know until you've done it and you realize, oh, I guess I do need to buy yarn. I guess I do need to do this. So that's like why all that to say, this is why I only have technically 3 WIPs, but I'm only going to share 1 and we're going to talk about the other and my plans for it. So yeah, again, a bit of a tangent, but here's my basket of WIPs, which only has 2 in it. I have 3 WIPs. One of them is an amigurumi plushie, but I only have his head done, so there's not much to see there. So I'm gonna wait and hopefully next time work on him more, because I love making amigurumi plushies. I've shared before my amigurumi books. They're also beautiful. I want to make more plushies, but it just does require having the book open and reading the instructions, make sure you don't miss anything. And sometimes I just don't have the proper setup for that, or the proper brain space to set up for that. So, but I do want to work on that, and I have this, I'm putting this out there, I have an amigurumi plushie on the hook, and I want to make it, and I will hopefully have more progress to share with you about that amigurumi plushie next time. Anyway, okay, so the first project that is like definitely getting done, again, I wanted to make hats, and I have this DK weight hat, which I have to say, I guess I haven't made too many DK weight hats. I typically make worsted weight hats because they are very warm, they're very quick. So I started a DK weight hat a couple times actually. In the past couple months I've tried making a DK weight hat, but I kept not casting on the right number of stitches. I think I ended up casting 120, which sounds like a lot, because for worsted weight yarn hats, I typically think I cast on somewhere between 70 and 80. And for DK to cast on like 120 sounds like a lot, but I am making it 2x2 ribs, so hopefully it should work. It's very stretchy. Hopefully it's stretchy, but not like it's gonna like wear like this on my head. This yarn is a yarn Baby Bee Prince colorway. I don't have the ball band, so I can't tell you what the exact colorway is, but it's just a super pretty purple. It's like self-striping a little bit. And I'm just going to knit this, and I'm going to do the square decreases like I talked about, like a similar style, and it's just going to be a very warm hat because we've had a couple of cold days here. I live in the state of Pennsylvania, and we've had a very wet winter. We haven't had a lot of snow, but it's been very cold. Every now and then there'll be like a really cold day, but otherwise it's been a rather mild winter in other respects, so it's kind of weird, but I don't like the cold. I need more hats because I found myself just wearing hats inside because sometimes it gets so cold. But really, this is fun. I know I just said I don't like doing ribbing on socks, but ribbing in the round like this. I'm using a size 7 needle. Yes, a 7 4.5 millimeter needle, and it's fairly quick. So just every now and again, I'll pick up and do a couple rounds. So then I'll have a nice hat and use up this pretty colorway in my stash. So that is really the only work in progress that will definitely be finished in the near future. Hopefully the amigurumi, but you know, we've talked about that. Okay, my last work in progress, and this is also the goal I had for February. I wanted to finish that garter stitch shawl, which I did, and I want to finish this. This is my Lamia wrap by TLY Yarn Crafts. It's a beautiful Knit crochet shawl pattern, and I've made quite a bit of progress on it. The last time you saw it, it was where this pink marker is, and now I've done quite a bit. It is so pretty. I love it so much, but the problem is, I'm crocheting this out of a worsted yarn. So I love this yarn in the Arctic colorway, or maybe just blue. I don't know. The other color might be Arctic. It's so pretty. It's taught me Tunisian crochet purl stitch, and it's just so simple, so beautiful. The thing is, this fabric is kind of stiff. It's not terribly stiff, but I know that when I wear it, when I finish it and wear it, actually this is, okay, let me finish what I'm saying. I'm not gonna like it as a big shawl because it is on the very stiff side. In an ideal world, I would have gone up a hook size to make this wrap, but this is the biggest hook I have in my Tunisian crochet set. I have the Knit Picks interchangeable radiant crochet hook Tunisian hook set, and the biggest size it comes with is a K hook, a 10.5 K 10.5 6.6 millimeter hook, or 5.5 6.5 millimeter hook. That's the biggest size it comes in. In an ideal world, I would go up a hook size for this with worsted weight yarn. It would just be better drape. I would enjoy the process of making the fabric more, and it's not that I don't enjoy the process, I just know that I would like it to be a looser gauge. And I did not order another hook, a hook size up. When I started this project, I was like, no, I'll make it work, because I was just really excited to learn the purl stitch and do this fun stitch pattern on the Lamia wrap. So what I was going to say when I took this out was that I think I'm going to frog it, and partly because I'm just not doing the project, and also because I would love a hat in this colorway. It's the only colorway I have. This is the only skein of yarn I have in this color in my stash at the moment. But when I took it out and noticed how much progress I made, noticed the size, I realized I could turn it into a shawlette. So I actually have my tower shawlette is a free pattern also on my blog, and it's a shawlette made with the asymmetrical shawl shape, and I could use that to turn this into a shawlette, and I think that is what I'm going to do. So it's not a question anymore if I'm going to frog it. I'm not going to frog it. I'm just going to bind it off. You do have to bind off in Tunisian crochet, and I'm going to turn it into a shawlette. So I actually feel really good about that now. And that is what I'm going to do the second this podcast is over. So yeah, I feel very good about that. I was feeling a little guilty bringing out like I'm going to frog it. No, I'm going to finish it off, and I'm just going to call it quits early. Not quits, but I'm going to turn it into, because the thing is, as a small cowl shawlette type project, the stiffness of the fabric might actually be good, because it'll be like you know, you're in the cold, it's holding its own against the wind, whereas if it were a big asymmetrical shawl, I would feel claustrophobic having it wrapped around me with this gauge. So that is what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn it into a shawlette. So this is why I like to podcast, because I sit down and I talk, and ideas start going in my head, and I come up with these solutions, and it's better than just being like, this project has been sitting in my whip basket for days. I haven't brought it out because I know I knew that its fate was still undetermined, and now I've brought it out and I've talked about it, and I feel really good. I've come up with a solution. That's great. Yeah, I'm really excited now. So the Lamia wrap, soon to be Lamia shawlette. So that's good. This is why I like learning stitch patterns on smaller projects. I did hesitate to start that project, partly because of the gauge issue, because I knew I wasn't going to order the hook in time, and I just really wanted to do that stitch pattern across the border. And the other reason, because okay, you get your results quicker, and you come away from that stitch prep and that project, whatever the new technique you were learning, and you can decide, do I like it enough to keep going with it, find another bigger project with it, or am I done? Have I learned it and ready to move on? So yeah, I feel really accomplished now. Yeah. That is all of my projects I have to talk with you about today. Thank you so much for joining me for this podcast. If you could take a moment and comment down below something you are working on, I would love to hear all about it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Happy crafting!